Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of His Dark Materials. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, let's start off with Lyra's situation. In fact, let's focus entirely on Lyra's situation first and foremost. But obviously, picking up where the last episode left off, she does kind of run into Roger again, and he says, like, right, I'm hurting, they're hurting me, and saying that he's in the land of the dead. So it kind of confirms what I thought. I mean, well, a lot of stuff about just everything with Roger last episode kind of confirmed, like, right, you're in that in-between space. Now, I guess whatever, obviously, I don't think it's the side of effect that Marissa was aware of. I mean, Lyra hasn't been conscious enough to tell her about it, but it's just, I guess, because it puts you in such a deep, dreamlike coma that it puts you in that closer to that, I guess that's just how that works. And Marissa doesn't realize, like, how much damage she's probably doing to, Lyra by doing that, because you're putting her super close to death in that regard. But it's like, right, you're kind of like, you're like tickling death. You're not actually like full blown, like, shaking hands with death. You're kind of tickling death a little bit or something. Maybe that's the justification for it. But I wonder, is it actually Roger, or is it like death or whatever calling to her, like it's someone you? Because my thought was like, right, they made it. It's the statement I focused on last episode was kind of like, right, almost like Roger almost made it sound like death doesn't work the way it's supposed to anymore. And no, it was Azrael that was like, yeah, death isn't what it's supposed to be, when he was explaining things to, like, Ogunwi. That I'm like, I guess because, I mean, it makes sense considering we're dealing with angels and the Almighty. Not even the real Almighty, because it's just an angel who basically took up that position. But it's like, right, in the grand scheme of things, what in this universe, what their role in the life, in the cycle of life and death, we don't know, like, what their role in it is. And with all this stuff going on, maybe it's throwing everything off balance, throwing all the Almighty out. Like, I don't know. So that's why I'm wondering, like, are all those souls going to be, like, all those people that have died, like, in a certain amount of time, could it be that the Almighty is absorbing all of them? That was kind of my thought process last episode. I'm still not 100% sure on that front, but nevertheless, Will is making his way to Marissa, and Amma, the girl who is on the same place, in the same place as, well, because they live decently near a village or something, don't they? Like, we haven't seen, like, Amma's, like, parents and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think she can't be the only little girl, because she did reference, like, I think in the first episode she referenced other people too, but I guess, like, the village is nearby, but this is like a very secluded area that Amma, I think, goes to specifically for the flowers and stuff. Either way, she figured out what Miss Coulter was doing, like, right, she's on some BS, and so ended up finding the flower that would wake Lyra up. Luckily, Will, Yorick, and, was it, oh god, I'm gonna butcher the name, the angel that's with him, it's like, was it Bathalmar or something, like something like that. That angel sadly ended up losing his partner this episode. Was it Baruch? Because Baruch was killed by another angel. Because I guess it's like, but that's also the thing, like, wait, why would you kill him? It's like, well, because you're kind of traitors, and basically the kingdom of heaven the Almighty deemed you need to be killed. Because I guess it's like, right, the last thing the Almighty wanted was Azrael to get the information, but got the information regardless about Will holding the knife, the one thing in existence that can kill the Almighty. Plus, where is Will? Oh, he's with Lyra. So there's all of that, but the fact is that the Almighty set that up potentially like that, kind of implies that the Almighty is scared, because that knife is the one thing that potentially can kill them. I mean, they made the point last season. It is a knife that one side of it can literally, obviously it can cut through dimensions, but the other side could literally slice through any and everything in creation. So it makes sense why it's the ultimate weapon. So, but when Will goes to get Lyra, Miss Coulter's there to stop him and saying, like, right, I'm trying to protect my daughter. There have been multiple times where I've tried to protect my daughter and she ended up getting hurt. And it's like, yes, I'm going to keep her in her sleep, because if I did try to explain everything to her, she won't listen to me. Like, that ship has sailed for a long time now. It's like, because her mom's done some very monstrous things. It's like the whole severing kids from their demons. Like, you did that. And it's like, right, you won't do it to me, but you'll do it to other people. You helped kidnap my best friend. So, yeah. We're not good. You once again, she said it last season, like, her mom can be good, but it's just her mom also does such terrible things that contrast is such a complicated thing for Lyra to kind of see past. So for her, it's like, despite the good that her mom can be, how caring she is, like, because Lyra can on some level see, like, hey, you are doing this because you love me and you care about me, but that desire to protect her, that love has been twisted and contorted, because it's understandable, because for Marissa, she's missed out on so much of Lyra's life. It's like, right, you were out of my clutches for so long, the complicated nature of her and Azriel's relationship, it's just, right, now it's like, right, I found you, I have you again, and I wanted to keep you close, but by me keeping you close, some of my nature of who I am, that anger kind of consumed me, and you saw a very ugly side of me. You know, I promise, and she doesn't realize, obviously, one of the times she's hurt Lyra, like, you know, not even just like, oh, mentally or emotionally, you've also physically, once again, like her monkey attacking Pan in season 1, you know, just to kind of punish Lyra for kind of like, it's like, right, you're going to fall in line type of situation. So, and she's trying to explain all this to Will. It's like, hey, like, we need to stick this out together. You can't just take Lyra from me. I am trying to protect her. She will die. You know what her destiny is. And it's like, right. The Magisterium, I'm trying to protect Lyra from them. The Magisterium thinks that she is Eve. And we also kind of get an answer to last episode when she was talking to her demon, being like, oh, I'm waiting for him. I thought she was waiting for Azrael. She was waiting for Will. She knew, she had a feeling, she hoped and believed that Will would come for Lyra. And it's like, right, if he comes along trying to rescue her, then I'll convince him, like, hey, we need to stick together, because the Magisterium will never be able to find them if they have the knife. They can go to any number of worlds, which most worlds are outside of the Magisterium's. But we still don't know if you'd assume the portal, the window that Azrael opened at the end of season 1, the one that takes you to Sitagaza, the city with the knife, like that one, it has to still be open, right? So I guess the Magisterium could always get there, but obviously it's like when you have literally the multiverse at the edge of your knife, then it makes it impossible. So that's what Miss Coulter was hoping on. And it's like, right, she figured if she could convince Will, like, right, let's be together. You don't want to separate a mother from her child. It's like, right, the bond between mother and child is never easily broken. It's there from beginning to end. So, and obviously Will's got this complicated spot with his mom. I mean, granted, his mom already knew about this. She said, like, right, you're going to have to leave me to follow in your father's footsteps. And lo and behold, take up his mantle, and lo and behold, that's exactly what ended up happening. But he hasn't seen his mom because he never actually got to see her in season 2, did he? I don't think he did. Like, obviously him and Lyra came back to London, but I'm like, I don't think he actually saw his mom. He texted her, but I think that was about it. They never actually got to see each other, to my recollection. So it really kind of worries him even more so, because it's like, right, mom doesn't know about dad. And so he has to be, because also for one hand, it's like, right, mom needs me. I'm like but it's also like a child needs their parent, but a parent also needs their child. And so the direct parallel between Will's desperation to get back to his mother and how much his mother relies on him. And it cuts deep when Marissa's making kind of a similar parallel. So, but Will's just like, right, I'll leave her here. And Miss Coulter's like, wait, what? No, you have to stay. And he's like, right, I'll leave her in your care if you promise you're going to take care of her, and leaves. And Miss Coulter was like, wait, she's like, no, that wasn't supposed to happen. I thought he'd stay. I was like, but the moment Will did, I was like, he's playing her. And then he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I'm doing this because I know she's a liar. And he was just going to find the perfect opportunity to cut into that place. But just as you're doing that, the Magisterium, because they found out where they were because of the spy, was it the spy fly? And so Father Gomez is the one that got sent there. So it's, I guess, because like I said, I was suspicious. I was like, the way Father Gomez was acting somewhat last episode, I was like, could he be like on the inside of all this? But it's like, no, it seems like he is like, he's all about this, you know? Maybe those tears he shed really was like, oh my God, this is about Eve, yada, yada, yada. Maybe like the prophecy is what made him cry, like, oh my God, this is it. Like, she's the mother of all sin type of situation. So, luckily, Will was able to get to Lyra. I love because I did wonder what Marissa was going to do. It's like, I figured she was going to tell the story, like, yeah, Lyra's already gone. But by the time she gets there back into the house, I thought, like, oh, like, Will have already grabbed her. But it's like, no. And it's like the Magisterium, especially Father Gomez making this point of like, right, you're actually making your daughter suffer, which you tell that did bother Marissa to some extent, because for Miss Coulter, it's like, hey, I know I've caused my daughter some pain, but the pain is all worth it if I'm able to protect her. That's all that matters. I will do anything. Both of her parents, and they are steadfast in their positions on where they are currently, because it's like, right, we've sacrificed too much to get to where we are, then I'm willing to continue to sacrifice whatever I need to do for what I'm trying to do, whether it's Azrael fighting this war against the Almighty, or whether it's Miss Coulter trying to protect their daughter. So but it's like, yeah, like, you don't have the strength to kill your child. Like, you would be doing her, like, she wouldn't be going through all this pain right now if you just killed her, you know? That's kind of the easiest thing. It's like asking, you know, but it's like, right, they're religious fanatics believing that, like, if they don't stop her, she will be the end-all be-all. She will be their undoing. Rightfully so, considering who you are. But regardless, she bashes Father Gomez across the head with a rock. We don't know if he's dead or not. I mean, he could, that could have been, that was quite the heavy blow. And I love, she's like, oh, there's that strength you were talking about. I was like, Jesus, because she knocked his block off. Once again, we don't know if he's dead from that or whether he just got severely knocked out. But it's like, thank you, Will. You're saving Lyra. Like, come on, let's go. It's like, no, we're going. You're staying. It's like, no, she needs me. And she was getting inside of Will's head, and the knife, you need concentration for it. And because he was so distracted, the knife breaks, and you're like, well, no one ever said the knife was indestructible. And I guess it's like, right, I guess it's almost like a feedback loop, that it's like, right, when you're putting that much pressure on the space-time continuum, when you're cutting open a window, like, I guess, like, it takes a lot to kind of like find that soft spot and just kind of cut into it, but you're basically getting all that energy, I guess, from the space-time continuum, or maybe even like dust is pushing back against the knife, and when you're not focused, it snapped the blade. Which I don't think, I mean, who knows if Will gathered all the fragments to the blade or not. Because who knows if it could be put back together. I mean, at the very least, the shards are still there, but I doubt you could use them individually. I don't know how that necessarily would work, but the knife is broken, which for Miss Coulter is like, well, that sucks. I was counting on that. Other than that, you're useless to me, and pulled a gun on Will. But for Lyra, she got in the way. It's like, please let me go. But Miss Coulter's unwillingness to let her go because she loves her too much. That, once again, that twisted desire, that you know, using that the distorted desire, you know, going from, you know, in a more Persona 5 route of it all. But yeah, that distorted desire, like, you know, her love and affection have been twisted and contorted into what it is now, because she believes wholeheartedly, because at the end of the day, Lyra's all she has. It's like, it's all she kind of wants to have, but also it's like, right, she sacrificed everything that she's ever had, ever held, just for the purposes of keeping her daughter safe. So, keeping her from falling into the destiny that's been kind of laid out for her. Luckily, they get out of there. Amma decides to stay behind. Yorick buys him enough time because Will was able to leave open the windows. He closed one. Now, the spy was able to, that Azrael had amongst the ranks, kind of wanted to, once again, I don't know if they're fairies, but I'm going to call them fairies because they're small and look like more traditional fairies, kind of like Tinkerbell. One of them slipped through. Now, it's just because there was I guess, like, Will hadn't completely closed the window yet, but part of me wonders, like, is that a byproduct of the knife being broken, or was it just timing of, like, right, he hadn't fully closed it yet, so it gave him time to slip through before the seam completely closed. So, regardless, they haven't escaped Azrael's eyes yet, because now it's like, cool, there is, Azrael still has eyes on you, technically speaking, but I did think it was beautiful at the end. Like, Lyra's obviously happy to be, and Will's there, like, both of them side by side holding hands. And I was like, I did think it's interesting. If Lyra's supposed to be Eve, does that mean Will is supposed to be Adam in all of this? You'd assume that's the parallel they're going for. Because we learn some interesting things. We find out that the Almighty isn't really doing the Almighty thing right now. They have a regent taking their spot, in which you're like, wait, where's the Almighty then? Which I'm like, which is fascinating, because it's like, well, once again, using, let's use Preacher and Supernatural, for example. God isn't up in heaven. God's off doing something else. We don't know what. But the Regent, it's Metatron, which I'm like, hey, I know that name. I don't remember if it came up in Lucifer. It might have did, but I remember it from, from Supernatural, because he was in the show for a bit. He was like the main antagonist of season 8, I believe. And I know, spoilers, I know he dies in season 11, I believe is when he dies. So, obviously, I'm assuming that version is different from the traditional thing. Because, like, in Supernatural, he was basically God's scribe or something like that, was Metatron's deal. He was kind of like the angel librarian or something like that. Librarian. But I don't know if it's the same regard, but it's like, you're kind of like God's closest confidant, probably even more so than the other archangels. So I think maybe that's the parallel they're going with Metatron in this. So either way, I just thought that was kind of interesting. But obviously that all ties into everything with Azrael's side of things, bringing Agunwi over, being like, hey, look at this. Hey, meet Ruta. She's a witch on our side. And there's that whole conversation of like, right, do you trust Azrael? And Ruta's like, yeah, with my life, because, right, he's doing what's necessary. This is the fight. Which I think is so interesting, because Serafina was all about Lyra and protecting her, and Ruta is all about she's all about the fight, which they're kind of all about the same thing, but Ruta's going down the route of trusting Azrael, whereas Serafina was all about like, no, I'm going to trust Lyra. Which I don't trust Azrael. That's the thing of like, can you trust a guy who's done some like duplicitous stuff to get where he's gotten? I mean, I don't think everyone's aware of the nasty stuff Azrael's done. Like, oh yeah, that tearing the North. It's like, oh yeah, he got that by killing George. So I don't know if that's a known element to it. But also this episode showcases, yes, Azrael, I mean, we've seen it, but like, I'm curious, like, how many people have turned a blind eye to Azrael's cruelty? I mean, even his demons calling him out, Azrael, stop, when he's torturing that angel later on for information. I mean, hell, even with the reverence he gives towards Lyra, because it's like, that girl again. It's like, he acts like she's such a nuisance. And once again, what does he say? It's like, yeah, she's nothing special. Because I think I brought it up in episode 1. It was that was the first thing Roger ever said when Azrael left at the beginning of the series. He was like, she's something special. He's like, everyone is special. Meaning like, right, if everyone's special, no one's special. It's kind of the mentality I gave. Because he doesn't think of Lyra as, he's like, oh, she can read the alethiometer. It's like, no one else has been able to read the alethiometer like her, not even the Magisterium, because the Magisterium still needs books and years of practice. She's able to like just wheel it. She's able to feel it and vibe. She's one with the alethiometer. But even then, he's like, yeah, that's all it is. She's always getting into trouble, yada, yada. He doesn't think she's important. It's like, right, maybe if you paid more attention, if you would like, you wouldn't have to worry about someone relaying the information of, oh, like the bearer of the knife that you're looking for. The God Killer knife. Yeah, it's with Will. Oh, where's Will? He's looking for the daughter that you kind of are like, yeah, whatever about, because I got more important things to focus on. But that's because him being the shitty father he is going to be his undoing, because Lyra is the center of all of this. She is important, because even he's like, yeah, I've heard about her destiny. Her supposed to be Eve. She's just a little girl or whatever. But even his demon calls him out. It's like, right, I want to hear you tell the truth. And it's like, is he overcompensating? Because does he feel, like, I think he does feel bad in some extent, but it's like, right, sacrifices have to be made for the greater good, because this isn't just about me. This isn't about just Lyra. This isn't even just about the Magisterium. They are just a means to an end, because the larger fight is with the authority. And he's explaining that to Agunwi, that right. The whole point of this fight upcoming, it's like we are going to provoke the authority and get them riled up. Which I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, so you didn't even know about the knife yet? You were going to go into this battle without an actual weapon to kill the authority. What were you going to do after you provoke? Like, I'm sure he has his plans, but it's like, apparently it was a suicide mission because you can't do anything without the knife, which the knife is broken in pieces, but maybe as the bearer, he can put it back together. Or maybe it might be a conjunction of him and Lyra. Like, maybe that makes Lyra important too. Maybe, or maybe she can help with the alethiometer, point him in the right direction and take him to someone who can fix the knife. I don't know. We also finally get to physically meet, I'm going to butcher her name again, was it like Xanafina? Which, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I saw the subtitles, I think it said that that's the person that talked to Mary last season with her machine, right? Wasn't it Xanafina? Wasn't she the one? So I thought that was interesting that the name had been popped up before, but now we get to actually meet her this episode. So she ends up talking to the angel that came and killed, was it Brucha? And once again, the one that was with Will is upset because it's like, right, I came with you, I wanted to be with my love, and you wanted us to go separate ways, and now he's gone. And it's like, right, I can't trust you anymore. Like, in the sense of, I can't keep following you blindly, I have to go. Like, I don't know where he's going to go. I guess he's just going to go to Azrael's side, which, ironic considering Azrael's come to try and find Will, but by the time he gets there, it's like, well, he finds Father Gomez either knocked out or dead, and he finds Marissa knocked out, so he's probably going to take her with him, so bringing her back to the command center for the center stage for the battle, because it's like, right, you're the last person who saw Lyra, so you got to know where they are. It's like, well, once again, they could be literally anywhere, but not really, because Marissa knows that the knife is broken, so and I'm curious how Azrael's going to take that news of being like, wait, the god-killing weapon is broken. Oh, crap. But once again, maybe it can be fixed. Speaking of Mary, I brought her up last episode. I was like, oh, we're going to catch up with Mary. Oh, we found Mary. She's in a Gunwee's world. And you're like, wait, how did you... Because the last time we saw you were in... I want to say I think it's Chitagaza, or it might be Sitagaza. Once again, the place where the knife was. That place was the last place she was. I think the last time we saw her in the season 2 was in the finale, and she was in a mountainous area. So not unless she had wandered off into this world, did she stumble across a window in that world that led her to? But it's interesting, the path she's taking. Obviously ending up in Sitagaza was, because that's the window that she found in London or Oxford that leads there, but now she'd end up being in this world that has a direct connection to Azrael, who is the father of the little girl you're looking for, obviously. But, she runs into these soldiers who are some of Ogunwee's people. They stayed behind because their father is part of the temple, and they were, the Gunwee came and got the rest of his soldiers and left this world, and they would follow too, but it's like, no, they don't want to leave their father behind because their father got them out, but ended up staying with the church, which I thought it was an interesting parallel for Mary, because for Mary, it's like, hey, I know what it's like to kind of leave that behind. Because she was a nun at one point in time, and she left that behind, and she kind of felt like, right, what is my life without that? She kind of felt lost. But then for her, it's she realized that that wasn't an ending. It was just a new beginning, and the whole world had kind of opened up to her. All the wonderment in the world, she was able to kind of see it now outside of all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because once again, Mary has her own role to play in all of this. And the fact is that we're kind of popping in here and there. I think it is kind of like Mary's got her own journey of growth, that what she needs to do, prepare herself before she meets up with Lyra. And I think maybe she's going to end up helping Lyra forge her path, forge her destiny, maybe. some very, very, very interesting developments. I'm very excited to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode, rather episodes, because I didn't realize we were doubling up on episodes. So I only watched one episode last week, so now I'm playing catch up, and now I gotta watch the other 2 episodes that came out, well, yesterday night at the time of me recording this, but regardless. I'm still excited to see what ends up happening next. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.